bookworms. So today I bring you a vlog where I'm gonna read three, maybe at least two new releases, and I'll keep it like super niche on those. So the first one I'm gonna read is The Unworthy by Agustina Basterica. It's one of my most anticipated release. I'm so excited to read it. I love Tender is the Flesh. It was the creepiest book out there that I had read at that moment. And yes, I'm really excited for this one. I think it's gonna hit like the spot even more for me. So yes, I'm gonna read this one. The other one I have as an audiobook is Watermoon by Samantha Sotoyambao. And then I'm trying to fit in a third one because I'm really curious to read it. And let me find it. The other one I have is We Do Not Part by Han Kang, and it's not one of my most anticipated release. I just am curious to read another one from her because I don't know, I just really thought that that author would be for me. And I read the Greek lessons and it just absolutely did nothing for me. I really didn't enjoy it at all. I took basically nothing out of it. Really, I didn't connect to the characters. The story felt super boring, and I'm not even someone who's like very necessarily plot driven, but I guess at least I need to care about the characters if it's not plot driven, and I didn't even care about them. So I want to give her another shot. I know I could read The Vegetarian, but for the purposes of this vlog, which is reading new releases, I really want to read her new one. So I'm gonna also try to read We Do Not Part. Because I'm like a little iffy about it, I'm allowing myself to just DNF it if it's just not working for me. Anyways, it's like an ebook at the library, so no hard feelings. Maybe it's not for me, the story, or maybe, you know, maybe I'm trying to like her, but maybe it's just not an author for me. So I'm okay with that. And because I'm not sure about that one, if I'm gonna love it, I am on hold at the library for a few books from Quebec authors, so that they may or may not be coming in the next couple of weeks. So if they do come in while I'm still doing the vlog, I'll add it to the vlog. And I don't know how long the vlog will be, but I'm gonna guess maybe a couple of weeks. So yes, the two ones I'm gonna start is Watermoon and The Unworthy. And The Unworthy, I'm so excited. By the way, thank you Simon & Schuster for giving me the ARC. I'm really excited. I can't wait to read it. And it just sounds like it's gonna be so interesting. So let me read you like, not the whole synopsis because I feel like it's too long and it might spoil. So let me just read the first half. From her cell in a mysterious convent, a woman writes the story of her life in whatever she can find. Discarded ink, dirt, and even her own blood. A lower member of the sacred sisterhood, deemed an unworthy, she dreams of ascending to the ranks of the enlightened at the center of the convent and of pleasing the forbidding superior sister. Outside the walls of the sisterhood, the world is plagued by catastrophe. Cities are submerged underwater, electricity and the internet are non-existent, and bands of survivors fight and forage in a cruel, barren landscape. Inside, the narrator is controlled and punished, yet safe. So yes, I don't know, I think it's gonna be so interesting to have like that contrast of what's happening. Like I wonder how much we're gonna have of what's happening outside, and at the same time having this kind of like huis clos, which if I find a translation, I'll put it there. But basically a huis clos is what we call in like for movies when it's like a one setting. For example, well, I don't have it on top of my head, but imagine a movie that is just set at like one room or one cabin, or like, I want to say one of the Tarantinos is like that. I think is it Hateful Eight? But I think it's basically that, you know, like you have one setting where all the characters interact, so it's very dialogue heavy. So yes, I'm really excited to have like this contrast of what's happening outside and kind of this convent that seems like a huis clos because they kind of kept safe from the outside, so they don't really have an escape from this. So yes, I'm really excited to read it. And then for our Watermoon, I actually haven't started it and I don't know much about it, and I kind of want to keep it like that just because I'm curious. I've just seen a lot of people review it and like it, enjoy it. It's a little bit everywhere on Bookstagram, and I think I've seen it on Goodreads. A few people have reviewed it and I'm curious to see what it is because I hadn't heard about it before. And I have to say, the cover really plays a big part because I really enjoy this cover. It's really beautiful. It's all the colors that I love. So yes, I'm gonna start with those two. I'll let you know. For this one, by the way, I was like just flipping through the pages. There's no chapters, which is crazy to me. I don't know why books do that. Unless it's a stream of conscience, which again is very intimidating for me. But unless it's that, I don't know why you wouldn't put chapters. I mean, it has breaks, you know, like it has brick parts like that, but that's basically all there is. So yeah, that's gonna be it. I hope you enjoy. I'm doing this reading vlog because yes, I do have some activities planned this week, but mainly it's very snowy. Like honestly, if I hadn't shoveled 3 times already, I probably couldn't get out of my house. This is how much snow there is all around it, and like how much it snowed in Montreal and around the past weekend. So I think I'll take nature's hint to just stay put as much as possible and to just focus on books. Like this is the moment. Like yes, I'll do like a winter activity with my family next weekend, and I'll enjoy outside time, I promise. I am still doing activities and being social, but I just think, you know, especially like it's a Monday, chillax. I already shoveled once. I know I need to do it again because I did an awful job. I just needed to get out to get to the pharmacy, so I need to probably shovel again. And yes, I have everything at home. We're good. Have a little coffee, I have my books, I have food that I can cook. It's all good. So yes, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna focus on reading in the next few days. By the way, for the moving, we're very much in transition right now. So whenever something happens, there will be a moving vlog part 2. It's just that now we're kind of waiting. We're having visits. So yes, it's just a long time. You don't just move like that out of a house, unfortunately. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it for the intro. I'll update you later. So we're the next day, and I thought I would do a little book haul with you guys because I did get a few books. Not just bought, I got them at the library too. So let me start with the reason that I got out yesterday in this very, very cold weather. And it's Le Marais by Emmanuel Diot. So I won't try to translate the synopsis because it is in French, and I've tried to translate on the spot and it's just not working out for me. Here it is. If you speak French, you can read it and enjoy it. Anyways, I'll leave the link to the book so you can like check it out. So yes, it's not usually the books I go for. I don't know, there was something in the way that it was written that I was very curious about. I can't wait to read that one. I'm thinking to read it for this reading vlog because it came out this year. It came out in 2025, so it would fit in this reading vlog. And I would be super proud of myself if I had like bought a book and read it in the same month. I think that'd be kind of a win. Like it hasn't happened in a while, and in general, it doesn't happen that often, so I'm considering it. I'm very heavily considering this. Speaking of reading update, I am over halfway through Watermoon, and it's not that it's going in a direction, but there's a plot that is kind of taking a bit of space, and I don't know if I find it as interesting. So I don't know. I'm enjoying it still so far. I'm just curious about how we're gonna end this and how much place that other like subplot is gonna take. And for The Unworthy, I read quite a bit yesterday while I was commuting. So I wanna say a third into it. So yeah. And my only question is, maybe I read too much into the synopsis, but I really thought we were gonna get more about like what's happening outside, and I feel like it's on the contrary, we won't get at all about what's going on in the outside, or if we will, it'll be at the very end, which is a little like disappointing. I thought like it would be interesting to have both, but I get it, you know, like that's not the point of the book, I guess. I'm still enjoying it, that one too. But yes, my next update probably will be like when I finish one or either of those books. I'll update you on it. But yes, now back to the haul. The other book that I bought, because I have such a hard time going into bookstores and not buying books, which is why I don't go often to bookstores. It's just I have this urge to buy the books that I really, really want to read. And in this case, I picked up Travailler moi ne suffit pas by Julia Posca. Basically translated, it would be working less is not enough. So this is a nonfiction. It's like an essay, I guess. I do want to read more nonfictions. So, sorry, I'm laughing because I rambled a lot. I've tried filming this before, by the way. It's just, I do ramble a lot when it comes to nonfiction. That's what I discovered about myself. It's a thing. So without rambling too much, in general, I feel like I want to read more nonfiction because to me, reading is political. And even though I enjoy being political with my fiction, so for example, reading banned books, pushing more diverse reading and all of that, I think sometimes it's not enough. And for me, reading is for fun, as in it's a hobby, and it does make me escape my own issues and like what the world, like what's happening to the world right now, in a sense, you know? Like, yeah, sometimes books are very political in itself because of the subjects and because of the issues it's tackling. So that kind of brings you back in it in a way that I love, and it should keep being those kind of, like, there should still be those kind of books that make you think, even though it's a fiction and everything. It's, for me personally, it's getting too easy for me to not be aware of what's happening around me. And even though I am aware of what's happening around me and what's happening in the US, it's egregious, it's awful, it's violent. When has it never been? But like, it's just, yeah, there's a lot happening in the world right now, and a lot of negative and a lot of political things that I think are interesting to dissect in a way, and to be more aware of the context of the things, and not just about like what's happening right now, because that I can get to the news, and I do get it from the news, like what's happening right now. But sometimes I think what's more interesting is the context. So anyways, that's where I want to get in my nonfiction. For now, I'm gonna start to add a nonfiction in my rotation of what I'm currently reading. And I'm gonna start with this one because I feel like this one is more niche. And so it's gonna be, I think, an easier read for me, but also a good stepping stone for like maybe a heavier type of nonfiction that I do wanna read. Why do I say it's niche? Is because I feel like this is very middle class oriented, which I do consider myself middle class. I just think it's not a book that I can widely recommend to everyone, because it does have, I think it starts with the assumptions that you have more free time, in the sense of like, if you work from home now, well then you don't commute as much, so you save those 2 hours. Or that, I don't know, you make the choice of being kid-free or having less kids, so of course it's gonna be a lot more free time maybe than they had in the past. Or, you know, you save time by, instead of going to the grocery shopping, you do them online, you know, you spend 30 minutes online and you have them shipped at your house. And like, I feel like it's those kind of time-saving things, but it assumes that that's what you do, and I think it assumes that that's what your life is, for you to read this book, and it makes sense. Because, for example, like the 3% won't read this book. The 3% is probably reading a nonfiction on how to like get away with murder while gaining more money. That's basically what they're reading. I'm very very strongly opinionated about that. I'm pretty sure that's what they're reading. And on the other hand, how could you, there's a whole lot of population that have big families and that have, you know, that have 2-3 jobs that need to make ends meet. So this isn't for them, you know, to say like, now that you're working less, now you have more free time, you can do things. I don't think it's a universal truth that could apply to most of people. Now in this case, it does apply to me. And the reason why I was interested is because the person that mentioned it was in like a conference. And when he mentioned it, there was more this sense of like, it's not about like, yay, you have more free time, or like, boo-hoo, I have more free time. But more of a sense of like, okay, what can you do with that free time? Like, what would be more beneficial for the community? And I think that's the part that I hope is in there, because that's the reason I really wanted to read it. I personally am very aware of what needs to be done for like community, of like community events. I used to do volunteer work when I was younger. I mean, yes, it was for school, but I did it for years. So to me, it's all things that are like ingrained in me. But I feel like in the past few years, that regardless of like how awful I was feeling and how bad my personal life was, I think I kind of gave up on it a little bit. The whole like actively participating in community. So I think that's kind of the push that I want from this book, and I want to see if it can give me this push to participate more. Now I do try to like do events, you know, like community events, like book clubs and stuff like that. I book events, you know, book launching and everything to encourage like local authors, and I think those are little things that I can easily do in a sense, but I kind of want it to be more. I'll be moving in a few months, so wherever I'm going to move, I want to make sure that I'm not as isolated as I was living here, for example, which is it's so easy to be isolated and like in your own little bubble. So yes, again, I'm sorry, I'm really rambling. Nonfiction really makes me ramble, and I wouldn't even know. I'll definitely try to give you a review on it, but it's gonna be tough now for it not to like ramble. I would definitely, it's the kind of video that I would definitely need to write, because to just talk about it like that, my thoughts go like 1,000 miles an hour. It goes so fast. And nonfiction is interesting because it does branch out on a lot of things. So I feel like I could even like get lost in a tangent. So yes, I'll make sure that if I do a review on it, I'll write it down, and it'll be a lot more cohesive than me right now, like just saying my first thoughts. Then I went to the library. So I went to get this little cutie. So it's L'hiver ensorcelé de Moumine. So basically why I took it, I know it's very silly. I just talked about the seriousness and like the reading and everything, but every year I try to read at least one, I mean, honestly, just one middle grade that is set in winter. I just think winter, I really hate winter. It's just so harsh and like and dry and cold that I have a hard time finding the fluffiness and fun out of this. And I feel like middle grade books kind of bring it this like joy and this innocent joy of winter for me. So that's kind of what I'm going for with this. I haven't read one yet, and I feel like with the huge snowstorm that we have, with the cold that's now settled, I think I need a tiny bit of fluffiness, and like just to remind myself that it's okay, it'll pass, we can try to make the best out of this. And then the last one that I took was Trópico by Marcela Huerta. So this is the poetry book that we're gonna discuss in the book club, the Latinx book club. And yes, I thought I had taken it in English, but it's translated in French, so I hope it still works. Just because translated poetry, I don't know that it always works, but we'll see, maybe it does. So yes, so I'm gonna read this one for in the next week or so to be ready for the book club. So yeah, that's it for my little book haul. I hope you enjoyed this little intermission. I promise that the next update is gonna be me reviewing or talking about one of the books that I'll finish, because I mean, I am planning on finishing Watermoon, if not today, tomorrow. I'm very into it. It's a pretty fast-paced story. There's a lot happening, so because it's very plot driven, I think I can very much get into it and like finish it soon. So yeah, I'll see you in the next update. I did go to the library yesterday to get the book, but by the time I got home it was dark. So here it is. Here's the other book that I got from the library. It's called Rien. It's by Laurie Blanchette. So it means nothing. And yeah, it's kind of I thought it would be more nonfiction and essays, not a self-help book, but then maybe I read the synopsis wrong, and I was just like looking through a few pages and I was like, it has a self-help book vibe, and I think that's what it is. So mind you, I haven't read a self-help book since How to Not Give a I think that's the name of the book, and I thought it was like I don't know, I didn't really get anything much out of it. I don't know how it was so popular, honestly. If I DNF it, I'll let you know my thoughts of like why I'm DNFing it. But yeah, I really don't read a lot of self-help books, and it's not that I don't want to improve on myself, mind you. I'm someone who believes in improving herself, but I think a therapist is just more appropriate for me. These books is just, I don't know. I mean, I don't know about this one, but in general, self-help books, I don't know. I feel like there's always a religious component or a toxic positivity component, or yeah, I don't know. Most of the times I don't like the vibe of those self-help books, of most self-help books. Mind you, I didn't read a lot of them. It's just that because I read a few and I didn't like them, I'm very apprehensive with them. So yes, and not necessarily what I thought I would get. It's a library book, so it doesn't matter. I'll return it if I really don't enjoy it. So I'll let you know if it's like, if I vibe with it or not. It is a 2025 release, so I could technically, potentially just kind of talk to you more about it in this reading vlog. I don't want this reading vlog to get so super long, but anyways. By the way, this is the face with no makeup of someone who slept 3 hours, but had an amazing night. I had fun. I had fun last night. I went out to dance. It had been so long. Oh God, I miss going to dance. And yes, it was all in the legs and the knees. We got all the way down a couple times, but I got up every single time. And yes, it was really fun, but I'm super tired. Not sure how much reading I'll get done today, because I feel like I really want to get like a huge nap after work, because that's how tired I am, but we'll see. So yes, so this is the face. Honestly, it's not so bad. I feel like I used to like party way harder when I was younger, but if I were to party now like I used to, I'd be dead. I wouldn't have clocked in for work. It wouldn't have happened for sure. So yes, so this is like a normal level of tiredness for my 30-year-old self, and I had fun, really enjoyed it. So yes, I'll see you for my next update. So finally, reviews. I am hesitating between if this is the end of my vlog or not, just because I mean, I might as well. I know it's only 2 book reviews, but because now I finished 2 books, I feel like it's a good moment to finish the reading vlog. So let me start with the reviews. I'll start with The Unworthy by Agustina Basterica, and I would say I really enjoyed it. To me, this is a... Sorry, I got distracted with my things. To me, this is a 4-star, very solid. Definitely, if you like Tender as the Flesh, you would enjoy this. It's as gruesome, like it's gruesome, and it's I want to say punishments that happen in the convent, and I like the way that it's written in letters. I thought it was very interesting. It's the format that I enjoy. When it's well done, I feel like the letter format is just, it's really enjoyable, and I'm trying to review it without spoiling it, so I'm gonna keep it super vague. I'll try. I annotated and like I sat down at some point to do like a more thorough review that I'll do on my Goodreads. If ever by the time I edit and post, I post the review on Goodreads, I'll put the link in the description. Like I was saying when I first started it, it is set in a post-apocalyptic world, but it's not I think like the main story and the main focus, at least in the first half, is what's happening in the convent. You know, you're very much involved in their day-to-day, if I can say it like that, and it's not boring because it's so messed up that it's not like something that could ever bore you to read about this like life in this convent. And then I feel like then we get a little bit more, like we get glimpses from the outside from the way the main character talks. I enjoyed like the growth of the main character. That was very interesting, especially considering, I want to say, like the ups and downs of her life in general, before her being in the convent and her during the convent. So that was very interesting. And I think in the middle of all the darkness and the gruesomeness of what was happening in the story, I feel like there is a glimmer of hope at the end, if I can say it like that. Kind of maybe hope is not the right word. Resilience? Sorry, something just fell and distracted me again. So yeah, I feel like cope is the wrong word. I think it's more resilience. I want to say why it wasn't a 5-star for me is because it was slightly too predictable for me. Not in the, I could not predict any of like the darker things happening, if I can say it like that, but more like predicting in the, you know, like the some big moments and some big twists and turns I felt were like very predictable. Not in a bad way that I didn't enjoy it, but predictable in a way that like, yeah, this is basically a cult. We know that cult characteristics, so everything kind of aligns with that. Anyways, it was super interesting. I really enjoyed it. Very, very solid 4-star. Again, if you want a more in-depth review, I'll definitely like take some time in the next couple of days to write one on Goodreads. And I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. And it's the kind of book that when you pick it up, because yeah, it took me a week, but considering it was a week where I went out a lot, I had like an audiobook at the same time, I was kind of starting other books. There was a lot going on the last week that I didn't get a lot of like just sitting down and focusing on reading. But the times that I were to pick it up, I was super, super in it. For example, the last chunk that I read, I think I read easily the last like 70 pages in one sitting because I was just so enthralled in it. So there is something about her writing and the way she paces it. That also is a thing. I think it was paced weird. I want to say the last third is paced really, really quickly compared to like the first half. So that's also like, you may like it or not. I don't dislike it, but I did notice the difference of pacing, and yes, it showed. Really much enjoy it. Definitely will pick up whatever she writes next. I know personally for me, her short story collection didn't work as well. I enjoyed it, but it didn't work as well as her like longer formats. So The Unworthy and like Tender is the Flesh are like my favorites so far from her. And this is translated from Spanish, so I'm kind of tempted to reread it in Spanish eventually, because I felt like sometimes the translation made it like lose a bit of its impact. Whereas in Spanish, depending on like the choice of words, I feel like it can convey a little bit more depth in it. But you know, that's just a feeling I have from reading in Spanish and in English. Sometimes in Spanish it's just more, which makes sense, you know, like they choose their words carefully, so it's just sometimes there's a direct translation but it doesn't carry the same weight. I was chatting with a fellow bookstagrammer about it and she really loved it in Spanish, so yeah, I'm tempted. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, so definitely would recommend it. By the time this video comes up, I think it will be almost out at libraries. I know it comes out in March. I don't know if it's beginning of March or end of March. You have time to like pre-order it at your like local independent bookstore, or you can always like request it at your library. You know, that could be cool also. But definitely you should pick up if you like horror, and if you like Tender is the Flesh, you won't be disappointed. So I also finished Watermoon by Samantha Soto Yambao, and I enjoyed it. It was really cute. I really liked it. Cute might be a weird word, but I enjoyed it. I want to say it's a more interesting take of something that is similar to Before the Coffee Gets Cold. You know, this whole series, which by the way, I didn't know there were like 5 books out. That series is way too long. I mean, if you enjoy it, tell me like you get more like content on it, but it just didn't click that much with me, the first one. Like, it was fun, but nothing more. And anyways, so I feel like if you like that series, you would definitely enjoy Watermoon. Oh, I didn't even say the synopsis of, well, I think I've told before the synopsis of The Unworthy, so I'll leave it as that. But for Watermoon, I feel like the synopsis is the main character works with her dad in a shop where people that have regrets over choices they've done in their lives stumble upon this like magical store where they, without them knowing, they just like stumble upon it, and without them knowing, they end up having the choice to either get rid of the choice and so have like a peace of mind, or not. You know, they could not, but like in that instance they do usually. So instead of being stressed, or instead of being regretful or sad about it, of thinking I chose to do that but I should have done this, they kind of give away their choices to the main character's dad, who's like the owner of the shop, in exchange for like peace of mind or something. So and so yeah, that's kind of the premise of the shop. And when it starts, the main character needs to take over now. You know, like her dad is gonna retire, and so she needs to take over. But then the day that like officially she's starting to like take over, her dad disappears. The whole shop is ransacked. She's like very concerned. There's one wish that is like missing, and she just doesn't know what happened. Her dad did leave her clues, so she's kind of then going on a journey to find her dad. At the same time, in that same day, there's a guy that stumbles upon the store, and so it's just someone that has like a regret or something. He gets like very involved in it, so he ends up helping her find her dad. That's kind of the premise, I would say, of like the beginning. It's very much the beginning. I think it's like the first 20-30 pages top. I think it would make a great anime, by the way. Like, I think it's just visually, some of the things they were describing are just so interesting, and it would be like so beautiful to see that I'm like, yeah, I feel like that's something that should be like animated. And it's very engaging also. So again, when I was listening to it, I kept listening because it was like one thing after the other. It's very adventure-like. There is some, I want to say it's more plot-driven than character-driven. But then, like, if I had to choose, but I think it's kind of 50-50. But because the main character is this, like, she lives in this other fantasy world that's like parallel to this real world, she has a personality that's not colder, but kind of more rational and calculated, and doesn't really go with like feelings. I mean, yes, her going after her dad is like at the most feels that she has at the beginning, but then after, like, she keeps being this calculated character, and like I think there's some character development of her like slowly learning to like let go of all the rules that like have ruled her life basically. And then for the other character, like the side character that helps her, I didn't think there was that much character development. I thought he was like a fun side character. There is this one of the things that I really I'm like about it. This, by the way, I would say if I were to rate it like a 3.75, if I'm like super specific. Probably I'll round it up to a 4 on Goodreads, because I did enjoy it and the world is super interesting, and I did feel like finishing it, but it's just there was a big chunk that was romance that, I mean, it's my bad, I don't know, maybe it's very clear in the synopsis, and then like if I were to like look at it very quickly, maybe I would have known. But because I was so entertained by like the world building, the mystery, you know, the finding her for dad and what happened, and like her mom did something in the past that she also needs to like accept, and like she hasn't. It's very interesting, and so all of that was so interesting to me that when the side character came, and I was like, yeah, that's like makes sense. But then it became super insta-lovey, and I'm like, I don't know that I like this. I don't know that I'm enjoying it. And it took not too much space, but like almost. It almost took too much space for me in the story, where I was like, I don't care. And honestly, maybe it's like super controversial, but I could have done without the last chapter of this book, honestly. The last chapter is like 5 years later. And I'm like, I could have done without it. Honestly, I would have been okay with it finishing one chapter before, and that would have been like a satisfying ending, in my opinion, of the book. Because I feel like it was also like rushed at the end, and I don't know. I have to say, I didn't see coming the twists and turns. That was really fun. I enjoyed that. Again, like I feel like I'm someone who likes character-driven stories, but in that case, the plot was so interesting, and I was so like involved in what was gonna happen next. And to me, the characters weren't, I don't know, I just didn't connect with them. Like I couldn't connect with the main character or the side characters, so the stakes were very low for me. And I don't know why I was so unattached with the characters. So for the purposes of this vlog, that's my rating, because I enjoyed it, I want to say, less than The Unworthy. They're both good. They both kept me, like, in terms of entertainment, they were both entertaining. In terms of what I wanted to do, it did that, you know. Unworthy, yes, was more predictable, the other one less so, but then the other one had a bigger aspect that I didn't enjoy, whereas the Unworthy, I did enjoy the majority of it. It's just that it was a little predictable, but a lot of the aspects, the points that the book was trying to make, I really enjoyed. So, 3.75, I feel like it's a fair rating. Hi, so editing me here. I feel like I didn't really do a proper outro. I mean, I think I did say about how much I enjoyed the books that I read, my thoughts on them, so that's gonna be past me. But yes, I was thinking of maybe doing a third book. That being said, and like I could have pushed it, I guess, until like next weekend, but because I'm focusing on another book, specifically this one, I'm reading Trópico by Marcela Huerta for a book club. So I really need to focus on this. Like today particularly, I'm gonna like probably read it all because it's pretty short. And I don't think that I will have time for a third one. At the very beginning, what I had in mind was to read the new Han Kang, and I just got it from the library as an ebook, and I feel like I'm not interested really to read it, and I feel like either it's gonna put me in a reading slump or I'm just not gonna enjoy it and I'll just feel forced to read it and it'll take me way too long to read, and so this vlog will be unfinished. So instead of forcing myself to read it, I think I'll just return it at the library. It's an ebook, so it's fine. I'll just return it. I won't add it for this vlog. I'm not feeling it. Maybe if it had been on audiobook, but then the last time I read one of her book, it was on audiobook and that didn't really work for me, so no, maybe not. Maybe it has to be like physical reading. But yeah, I'm just not feeling it. And for Le Marais, I have not started it yet. And so I feel like it would be too presumptuous of me to say that I will finish it in like a couple of days, because it's not too long, but I don't know. I don't know what kind of story it is, and I don't want to force myself again or like rush it. Again, because today and tomorrow I'm like reading this. I'll end it here. I'm very satisfied with having read those 2 books in a week. I mean, I didn't read just 2 books in a week, but like that I focused for this reading vlog on these 2 books. I did finish another book in between that you'll see in my reading wrap up. Then I'll be reading Trópico. And so yeah, I've been doing a lot of reading recently. I've been quite busy with my books and my reading, which I enjoy. And yeah, that's it. I just wanted to give a little outro. I just felt like I was kind of muddled at the end, and I was just, yeah, I don't know. I wasn't having a great day either, so that's not helping. And still not having a great day. Life is still being super chaotic and negative, but just still trying to like focus on things and being productive, you know, with work and with this and with reading and like my Instagram posts. Like I'm trying to get slightly more creative with my Instagram posts, which are taking longer to do, but I feel like are more fun for me to do. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this reading vlog. If you want to chit chat about any of the books, the ones I hauled, the ones I read and reviewed, Trópico if you read it too, let me know in the comments. We can definitely chit chat on it. If you enjoyed this video, you can give a little thumbs up, and you can always subscribe. I'm very not consistent on my postings. I have to say I'm really trying my best here, but I will definitely keep coming at you with more bookish videos. And on that note, happy reading, and I'll see you in another video. Bye. No estoy pendiente a lo que tú estás haciendo, que yo no la estoy rompiendo, yeah.